drives it into right center field, hit it Todd. This baby is way back. On here.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Baby Baseball channel. And today we are going to talk about 10 players, 10 free agents that the San Francisco Giants can target after this horrific lockout ends, whenever that might be. There are still plenty of free agents out there, and there are still plenty of holes in that Giants roster. Although they've done okay so far, I think when the lockout happened, most Giants fans were somewhat disappointed with how the offseason was going. I mean, they did bring back Brandon Belt, who accepted the qualifying offer. We're able to re-sign Alex Wood. We're able to re-sign Anthony DeSclafani, and went out and grabbed Alex Cobb, who's coming off a really good year with the Orioles. So by no means was it a terrible offseason so far, but certainly there are some big names out there that I and other Giants fans would love to see in a Giants uniform. And of course, there were lots of big names that have already signed. Max Scherzer's off the board, and a whole bunch of other big names are already off the board. But that doesn't mean that there are still some available guys out there that the Giants can bring back or bring over to San Francisco for 2022 to try and repeat as NL West champions and try to go a little bit deeper into the playoffs this time. So let's get started with this list. At number 10, I'm going to have Michael Pineda, who has been with the Minnesota Twins as a possibility. I don't think this one's super likely, but the Giants do need to sign at least one more pitcher, I think. Remember that they lost nearly their entire rotation. They brought back Wood, like I said, and DeSclafani. They brought over Alex Cobb. Possibly he could replace Gosman. But what about Cueto, who is also gone? So the Giants need someone to replace Cueto. And interestingly, Michael Pineda, also from the Dominican, also a right-handed pitcher, but he is 3 years younger than Johnny Cueto and has been very solid when he has been on the field for the Twins, although he has missed some time to injury, and he also missed some time to a suspension for using a PED masking agent.
What?
But in 3 years with Minnesota, he's made 51 appearances. 50 of those were starts, and he posted a solid 3.58 ERA. And just back in 2019, he was 11-5 with a 4.01 ERA. And I think if the price is right, he could certainly be an option for the Giants. He would definitely be towards the back end of the rotation, and I know it's not the most exciting signing, but I still got 9 more to go. So I'm going to start with just somebody who can kind of fill in that back end of the rotation and add some depth, because the Giants' starting pitching is a little bit of an issue. They've already addressed it, but they need to further address it, which brings me to my number 9 possibility, and that would be Yusei Kikuchi from the Seattle Mariners. This is a guy about 3 years ago when he was posted from Japan. The Giants were super hot on this guy. The Giants were one of the teams that actually he was expected to sign with. He ended up going to the Mariners, and he's only gotten better throughout his big league career. Maybe he hasn't been absolutely awesome, maybe not as great as the Mariners hoped, but he has still been very solid. He's got a nasty fastball. He has strikeout stuff. He's got a great cutter, good changeup, good slider. So he's got great stuff, and he's getting better. He even made the All-Star team in 2021. He ended the season with a 7-9 record, 4.41 ERA in 29 starts, just allowed 145 hits in 157 innings. And I could see him as a nice fit in the Giants rotation. The only issue is he declined a player option to come back to the Mariners for quite a bit of money. So that tells me he's looking for a multi-year deal, maybe a nice, handsome payday. And if that's the case, well, the Giants are going to spend big on a starting pitcher. If you're going to spend big, might as well go big, okay? Which brings us to Clayton Kershaw, baby. I know he's a Dodger for life, right? Obviously, this dude's going to go into the Hall of Fame with a Dodgers hat on. No question there. But, the Giants have been known to sign legendary Dodgers pitchers before. Remember Orel Hershiser, the 1988 World Series MVP? Well, the Giants signed him in 1998. He had a decent season with the Giants. And he is still solid. Despite all the mileage on his arm, despite the 14 years of experience, he is still awesome. He struck out 10.7 batters per 9 innings in 2021 and allowed just 103 hits over 120 innings of work. This guy would immediately jump to the top of the Giants rotation along with Logan Webb, creating a nice, unlikely 1-2 punch there for the 2022 Giants. It would be weird to see him in a Giants uniform, but he's definitely, he's out there. He's a free agent pitcher who is really awesome, and he is available. And if the Giants could pin him to, I don't know, 2-year deal, 3-year deal, and they may not want to sign a 1-year deal. I'm not really sure, but I'm for it. Obviously if the money's too insane, then it's too insane. But I think right now the Giants need some star names in that rotation. I mean, it's possible that Wood and DeSclafani are awesome again, but it's not a guarantee. So and Alex Cobb, he was great, but he has had some rough times in the past. So it's just kind of shaky right now, and I would love to have a name where you got confidence in someone like Clayton Kershaw, and he's one of the few big name starters still out there. Coming in at number 7, free agent to target, I think that I have to at least mention Kris Bryant as a possibility. I mean, this is a superstar player who's very versatile. He can play the infield, he can play the outfield. He is an ex-MVP, ex-Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's a superstar. And the last time we saw him, he was in a San Francisco Giants uniform. So he's certainly someone to keep an eye on, although reports have indicated the Giants really were underwhelmed with him, which I find weird because he was awesome in the playoffs. He hit just .471 in the playoffs. He went 8 for 17 with a bomb. And, with his versatility, I mean, you would think the Giants would be very interested in bringing him back. But just based on the reports, including some tweets by Andrew Baggerly, it just seems unlikely for him to return. But the Giants infield is not exactly, not prone to injuries. They are quite prone to injuries with Longoria. A little bit of an older infield, even Belt over at first base, he's always going to get hurt. And, Crawford, he usually stays on the field, but still, Crawford, he will go on the injured list from time to time. La Stella at second base, constantly hurt. So, it's an injury-prone infield, and with his versatility, even if everyone's healthy, you're still going to find a spot for him. So I would love to see Kris Bryant back, but I think the odds are now less than 50-50. In fact, it's getting lower by the day up until the lockout. And I think it's likely he's gone, but he's someone I got to mention as a free agent to keep an eye on and to continue to target for the Giants, at least in my opinion. We're going to move on to the bullpen for the next couple of targets because there is a couple of names out there, and I think the Giants, even though their bullpen is pretty strong right now, definitely a strength, and if the Giants don't sign any bullpen help, I think this bullpen could be okay. We got Harlan Garcia. We got obviously Camilo Doval coming back. We got Jake McGee coming back. We got Rogers coming back. It's not a terrible bullpen at all, but you could always use some extra bullpen arms. And I'm going to mention 2. One that's probably not going to happen, but it's kind of fun. And then one that I think is a more realistic target. So let's start with the fun one. And that's my man, Sergio Romo. And he was actually not that bad with the A's this year. 4.67 ERA, 60 strikeouts, and 61 plus innings pitched. He's still got a decent slider. And, he's getting towards the end of his career. So, hey, why not let him, retire as a Giant, or at least, maybe a minor league deal or something. Just someone I wanted to mention. I know a lot of fans, even in his later years with the Giants, were kind of starting to call his slider like a little frisbee that looked very hittable. But ultimately, you can't argue with the numbers and the fact that he's still around and he has found employment all this time. It means he brings something to the table. And, you can never have too much depth or too many options out of your bullpen. So it's just somebody I thought would be fun to have him back. And, if you think about it, there's no one left from the 2010 team. Now that Posey's retired, that's it. That's it. We need someone to represent the dynasty here. And imagine he comes back and wins another one, a 4th World Series with the Giants. That'd be insane. It's pretty unlikely, but I just want to throw out a bone here and talk about my man Sergio Romo because I'm a huge fan. He's also a great personality, great guy, and love Sergio Romo. Would love to see him retire in a Giants uniform, however unlikely that might be. But let's talk about number 5, and this is just a relief pitcher I saw. I was looking at the relief pitchers available. Some of them I think are just going to be too pricey, and like I said, the Giants don't have a big urgency in their bullpen. But there is someone out there who I thought maybe could be affordable and also could be very good. Could be a possible setup man, could compete for the closer role, and that is Richard Rodriguez. The Braves did not tender him a contract. He was only going to make about $3.1 million in arbitration, somewhere in that ballpark. So I think he could be affordable. And Richard Rodriguez had a really solid year with the Pirates. He was obviously a closer for the Pirates, got traded to the Braves, and he was pretty good out of the bullpen for them as well. And he just has solid stuff. I mean, he's not a huge strikeout guy. I mean, he will strike guys out, but he's been very, very solid. And he was the closer for the Pirates. I don't know, if that means a whole lot because the Pirates aren't exactly, the best team in the world, but still. His ERA has been under 3 for the last 2 years, 2.7 in 2020, 2.94 in 2021. Back in 2018, it was 2.47. Only once did it go over 3, and that was 2019 when it was 3.72, but he has a very good ability to create soft contact, and he has struck out 230 batters in his career in only 228 innings. So again, it's not like he can't strike someone out. And I think he would just be nice to have on the roster as someone else to compete for either a closer's role or possibly as a setup man. I mean, we don't know if Doval is going to continue to be as great. I mean, hopefully Doval is like the closer of the future, but we don't know that. McGee, he's fine, but he's a little shaky at times. And obviously, we've seen that Tyler Rogers is not exactly closer material, although, love the guy. Want him in that bullpen, but maybe not as a closer. So just to have another option for the late innings or for very crucial situations. Richard Rodriguez, I think, is someone to look at. And that brings us to the top 4 free agents to target, and I think we need to get another outfielder. Right now, the outfield, it's solid, I guess, but something's missing there. Maybe a big name, a star name, someone who can really generate some power. We have not had a serious power-hitting outfielder since Barry Bonds. I mean, Mike Yastrzemski has been nice. He's been a lot of fun, and we loved it. Some big moments with him, but he really struggled in 2021, especially the second half. He has power, but not like 40 home run potential that we've seen yet. Lamont Wade Jr. was absolutely spectacular, amazing, especially in the clutch, but he doesn't quite have the track record. I mean, we don't know if he's going to come back and do that again or not. One can only hope. Then you got Austin Slater. He can go into big slumps. He can also hit the ball a mile. So, Austin Slater's just kind of off and on. And I just don't know if he's, a guy that we need to count on as being, our superstar outfielder at all, And then you have Darren Ruff. He's a guy who's kind of play a little first, play a little outfield, pinch hit. But again, not quite the everyday power hitting outfielder I'm looking for. So I'm going to talk about 4 guys, and it starts with the World Series MVP. I got to mention this guy, Jorge Soler. And I know that maybe he's mostly a DH, but the DH might be coming to the National League. So Jorge Soler is a dude who was struggling early in 21, figured something out with his swing, and then entered beast mode by the World Series where he hit 3 home runs and won the MVP. Like I said, he's only 29 years old. And I could just see him fitting very nicely in that outfield. He is a right-handed bat, which I think is important to kind of complement the lefties like Yastrzemski and Wade Jr. Because when we had Dickerson, was yet another lefty. We were a little lefty-heavy out there. So there is one exception I'll get to, but as far as, and just generally, I think a right-handed power bat would be ideal. So Jorge Soler is one guy to target. Another would be Mr. Nick Castellanos. He just hit 309. He just hit 34 bombs. He hit 100 RBI. This dude is legit. Okay, I know he's kind of a meme on the internet, but the dude is absolutely legit. He also made the All-Star team. He also won a Silver Slugger, and there have been reports the Giants are actually actively interested in Nick Castellanos for obvious reasons. So I think the Giants will be targeting a power-hitting outfielder after the lockout, and this has to be one of them. Obviously, the numbers don't lie. Nick Castellanos is awesome, but I personally, there's a couple of other guys I would prefer over Castellanos, and I actually don't think it's going to happen in my personal opinion, as there's a deep drive to left field, and that is going to be a home run to make it a 4-0 ball game. And one of the guys I would slightly prefer over Castellanos, even though either one, don't get me wrong, either one of these guys would be great, but for some reason, I really love Mr. Jock Peterson, and he's a lefty, so this is the one exception. This is a left-handed power hitter, but Jock Peterson, I mean, this dude is just legit, and he has got a huge track record of success in the regular season, success in the playoffs, a ton of playoff experience, and this is a dude who's from the San Francisco area. Okay, this is a Bay Area native, and I could just see him crushing bombs into McCovey Cove on the regular. Peterson hit 36 home runs as recently as 2019. This is an impact player. He did have a bit of a down year in 21, but the Giants need to add a star bat to that outfield, like I was saying, with Yastrzemski struggling, with Slater kind of slumping at times. I mean, they just need someone who is consistent and who is a big league power bat. And just imagine that bat in the middle of the lineup. Jock Peterson, hitting a home run against the Dodgers in a big game, down the stretch, trying to win the division. Meanwhile, we got someone like Alex Wood in the rotation. Maybe also Clayton Kershaw. Okay, it's getting a little much. Kershaw, Wood, and Jock Peterson. Okay, it's getting weird now. However, there's one player, my number one free agent to target this offseason after the lockout. This is a guy I would actually prefer as the outfielder. My number one target Seiya Suzuki. This is a Japanese player who is available and will still be available for a short time after the lockout, from my understanding. This is a dude with serious stats, serious power, serious on-base ability, and he would fit right in at Oracle Park. This guy could become a superstar in the big leagues. This could be the next Barry Bonds, and I don't mean he'll be as good as Barry Bonds per se. You know, he's not going to go hit 700 plus home runs in his career, but you know what I mean. Like the first power hitting serious outfielder that we've had who can actually hit 35, 40 home runs every year since Barry Bonds. Last year he hit .319 with 38 bombs to go along with 87 walks and a fantastic .433 on-base percentage. And his contract is predicted to be around 4 years, $40 million. The Giants can certainly afford that right now. Okay, he's only 27 years old. .309 career batting average in Japan. 189 career home runs, but he has 524 career walks. I think it is well worth the risk to outbid every other team, whether it be the Mariners, the Rangers, or one of the big teams like, I don't know, Yankees, Dodgers, whoever. Outbid them and get this guy. Because this dude is serious, and I watch his highlights, and I've checked out some of his analytics. I've checked out some of his scouting reports, and I really feel like his skills will translate to the big leagues very well. And even if he's not as good as he was in Japan, he's still going to be a very solid power-hitting outfielder who can get on base. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. I don't see the downside to it at that price range. Yeah, it's not cheap, but it's not like you're paying, $300 million or something, okay? So I think this is the guy right here, in my opinion. It may not happen, but they better get one of these outfielders that I've talked about or someone I'm forgetting. Let me know in the comments, because I'm sure there's other free agents to target as well. But overall, I mean, if you're not going to get a Jock Peterson or a Suzuki or maybe a Castellanos or something like that, Soler, and there's a couple other options, like I said, but if you don't get one of those guys, well, we better pray hard that one of these prospects like Elliot Ramos is going to really blossom in 2022, pretty much blossom right away, because there ain't going to be no patience for guys like that for the future, because Giants want to defend this title. When I say title, I mean the West Division title, not the World Championship. I only wish. But Giants want to defend that and have another big year and try to win 100-plus games again, and you need power. It's unlikely the Giants, everyone's going to play as well as they did in 2021. So you need to add, and you really need to add, especially because we've lost some guys. We need to add some guys to replace them. So let me know what you guys think of those 10 possible free agent targets. A couple of them for fun, the Romo guys, but I had to fill out the 10, and I just was, looking at the free agents, and this is just my list. Okay, not the best list, not the right list, just mine. You guys let me know who you think the Giants should target after the lockout, because I know I missed a few names, but there's a lot of relievers out there, a lot of other starters out there as well. Zach Davies, there's guys out there. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Hit that thumbs up button, and we will talk to y'all very, very soon. Thank you, and we'll see ya. Peace.
When the Giants come to town, it's bye-bye, baby. Every time the chips are down, it's bye-bye, baby. History's in the making at Oracle Park.